Hi everyone, so it's the 1st of September today, so I'm here to do my August wrap up and my September TBR video. So August was a really good reading month for me. I managed to read 26 books, and out of the 26 books I read, most of them were 5-star books. So yeah, I had a really good reading month in August. So let's just get started with the books that I read last month. So first of all, I read Manic by J.A. Huss. I got this one for review. I'm absolutely loving the Rick and Ronan series. Manic was so much better than Tragic, and I'm really looking forward to the third book, which comes out later on this year. I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. And then I read Crown of Midnights by Sarah J Maas, which is a follow-up to Throne of Glass, and I freaking loved this book so much more than Throne of Glass, and I adored Throne of Glass. Everything was just so much better in Crown of Midnight, and it got 5 out of 5 stars from me. And then I reread Dreamless by Josephine Angelini. I read this sometime last year. I couldn't tell you when. It was probably like the start of the year or something, and I didn't remember anything that happened in the book, and I had to reread it for Goddess. So yeah, this one stayed at 5 out of 5 stars. And then I read Goddess by Josephine Angelini. This is the last book in the Starcross trilogy, and it was a fantastic ending to the series. I didn't expect it to be that good. I didn't expect half the stuff that happened in this book, so yeah, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And then I read The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. And I was kicking myself for not picking this book up sooner because it was so beautifully written, and I fell in love with Charlie and the whole story, and it just got 5 out of 5 stars from me because I loved everything about that book. And then I read Angel Fall by Susan E., which I'm also kicking myself for not reading earlier. I mean, it's an angel book. I love books about angels, so it was a given that I was going to enjoy this one, but I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. And yeah, it was just fantastic, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And then I reread Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief so that I could reread The Sea of Monsters before I went to see the Sea of Monsters movie. So yeah, still a 5 out of 5 stars because I freaking love Percy Jackson. And then I read My Soul to Save by Rachel Vincent, which is the second book in the Soul Screamer series. I absolutely love this series. This was a fantastic sequel, so yeah, 5 out of 5 stars. And then I read My Soul to Keep by Rachel Vincent, which is the third book in the Soul Screamer series. It was awesome, just as good as the second one, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And then I reread The Sea of Monsters by Percy Jackson. Like I said, already read them, fantastic, 5 out of 5 stars. And then I also reread City of Bones so that I could see the City of Bones movie with the book fresh in my mind, and I really loved rereading this book, rediscovering the world and the characters. So yeah, it was just as awesome as it was the first time around, and it stays at a 5 out of 5. And then I read My Life Next Door by Huntley Fitzpatrick. This is such a cute and amazing contemporary. I really adored everything about it. I loved the characters and the twist at the end. So yeah, and then I read Hallowed by Cynthia Hand, which is the second book in the Unearthly series. I loved this one so much more than Unearthly. The storyline was so much better. I found myself getting more interested in these characters and switching teams. So yeah, this was a definite 5 out of 5 stars. And then I read Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. Holy crap, this book is freaking amazing, I'm not kidding. It's so unique, and it's just unlike anything I've ever read. It's an amazing fantasy novel, probably my favourite fantasy novel I've ever read. I haven't read that many though, but still, this is probably my favourite, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. And then I read Cinder by Marissa Meyer. Wow, is this an amazing unique novel. I freaking love cyborgs now after this. They're just awesome, and Cinder just shows that. I really enjoyed this book, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And then I read Pivot Point by Casey West, and I'm kicking myself for not picking this up earlier. It was sitting on my bookshelf for ages and I just didn't pick it up, and I'm so annoyed that I didn't because this is such an amazing book. It's got the whole unique thing going on with people with mind powers, which is pretty awesome, and the storyline is just absolutely fantastic, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And then I read My Soul to Steal by Rachel Vincent, which is the fourth book in the Soul Screamer series, and I freaking loved this book so much. It was just awesome, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And then I read The Assassin and the Pirate Lord by Sarah J Maas, which is the first book of the Throne of Glass novellas, and I really liked seeing Selena before everything happened and she ended up where she was at the start of Throne of Glass. So yeah, I'm really enjoying discovering it, and I can't wait to read the rest of them, and I gave that one 5 out of 5 stars. And then I read The Silver Linings Playbook by Matthew Quick. This one took me a while to get into, but I ended up really loving it by the end, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And then I picked up The Awakening by Kelly Armstrong. This is the second book in the Darkest Powers trilogy, and I'm really loving this trilogy. I'm loving discovering about these characters, where they came from, what happened to them, and yeah, I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. And then I read Unraveling by Elizabeth Norris. I picked this one up after I read a really terrible book and had to DNF it. So yeah, I wanted something that I was really going to love, and I adored this book, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And then I read Unbreakable by Elizabeth Norris, which is the second book in the Unraveling duology, and I loved Unbreakable so much more than Unraveling. I adored the characters so much more, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And then I read Origin by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which is the 4th book in the Lux series, and holy crap, this book was just freaking awesome. I loved everything about it, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. And then I read If I Die by Rachel Vincent, which is the 5th book in the Soul Screamer series, and I bawled my eyes out at this book. Seriously, I was in tears. It was just amazing. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And the last book I read in August was Before I Wake by Rachel Vincent, which is the 6th book in the Soul Screamer series. So as you can see, I worked my way through most of the Soul Screamer series this month. I read the first one in July, and I'll hopefully be getting the last one this month and finishing this series. This one was fantastic again, 5 out of 5 stars. So this month it was pretty hard for me to pick favourites. I was torn between 3. There were so many awesome books I read this month, but I had to narrow it down, and I ended up getting stuck between 3, and those 3 were Crown of Midnight by Sarah J Maas, Origin by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and If I Die by Rachel Vincent. All these books were fantastic and so different, and I loved them for different reasons, so yeah, they're my 3 favourites of August. So now on to the books that I've picked to read for September. So I've only picked 10 books to read for September because I don't like to pick a month's worth of books, because I know I'm not going to read them all. So I picked 10, and I know I'm going to have to get around to reading some review books, and then I can read whatever the hell I want as well, if I buy new books, if I buy books from the library. So yeah, 10 felt like a good number. So the first book I want to read in September is The Reckoning by Kelly Armstrong. This is the last book in the Darkest Powers trilogy, and I just really want to get the series finished and find out what is going to happen at the end. And then I want to pick up Forgive Me Leonard Peacock by Matthew Quick. I won this from Goodreads and Headline, so yeah, I want to get around to this one really soon, and I love The Silver Linings Playbook, so I'm really looking forward to this one. And I also want to read Breed by Sarah Crossan. I got Resist from NetGalley last month, so yeah, I need to read the first book very soon so I can get around to that one, so hopefully I'll get to it this month. And then I want to read Inside Out by Maria V. Snyder. I've been wanting to read a Maria V. Snyder book for ages, and I got this one at the library, so I thought I'm just going to read it this month, because if I don't, it'll just sit there and I'll return it without reading it. And then I want to read Insatiable by Meg Cabot. I'm really getting back into Meg Cabot books, so yeah, I can't wait to read this one. And I also want to read Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. I absolutely loved Cinder last month, so I'm really excited for the sequel, especially since this one is a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood, and yeah, it sounds awesome. And then I'm going to try to read Eragon by Christopher Paolini. I don't know if I'll actually get around to this book, because right now I'm not feeling very interested in it, but Paranormal Reading Challenge for September is dragons, and I know there are dragons in this, so yeah, we'll see. And then the next book I'm really excited about reading this month is Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. I think I'm probably going to start with this one because it sounds amazing, and everyone's saying that I have to meet Stormons, so I cannot wait, and plus I want to read more about the Darkling. And then I want to read White Cat by Holly Black. I haven't read a Holly Black book yet, and this one sounds really good. I've heard a lot of great reviews about it, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. And the last book I'm planning on reading in September is The Rise of Nine by Pittacus Lore, which is the 3rd book in the Lorien Legacy series, and after the ending of The Power of Six, I just really want to dive into this one and find out what's going to happen. So there you go, that was my August wrap up and my September TBR. Let me know in the comments what your favourite books of August were, and if you've done a TBR/wrap-up video, let me know in the comments below as well so that I can go and check it out. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye everyone.